right. Thank you guys all very much for coming out to our annual town hall meeting. It's really exciting to have such a great turnout this evening and to have our special guests from Richards Middle School. This year is a little bit special because today actually is also our National Imagine a Day Without Water recognition, or Day of Recognition. And it's a day that our community, or we ask our community to consider what their daily life would look like if the entire community had absolutely no water. Not just your home having your water disconnected or, some break or anything, but the entire community has no water. And what would that look like and how would that impact our daily lives? So this question is posed by the U.S. Water Alliance, and there are hundreds of water utilities and other communities, legislators that all come together to ask their communities that very same question. So for the Columbus Water Works, that hits us a little bit special because it's what we do every single day. So what I wanted to do real quick is share with you a short video that we have put together in recognition of.
Your water is always there when you need it. But what if it wasn't? Safe and reliable drinking water impacts nearly everything around us.
Our entire day is based off of water. Everything we do, we need water to do it. It's energy. We have to have it to survive.
It would definitely degrade the quality of life, which would really limit the things that we typically do in a normal day.
Without water, we wouldn't be here. If we didn't have water for a day, then there'd be chaos.
Because you don't really know how much you need water until you need it.
We all need water, clean water.
With proper investment and maintenance of our infrastructure, together we can prevent a day without water. Learn more at cwwga.org. Columbus Water Works, serving our community, protecting the environment.
I don't know about you guys, but I can't go without my morning coffee, and this thing makes me a little bit scared if we had one of those days. Right now, I would actually like to bring up Anna Cannon, our community outreach specialist, and she is going to share with you guys how we actually work with our schools on this campaign as well.
Like Adrian said, my name is Anna Cannon, and I'm one of two community outreach specialists here at Columbus Water Works. I have the privilege of working with local schools and universities as a partner in education through our Columbus, Georgia Chamber of Commerce. So as a partner at large, we work with specifically Richards Middle School as our partner school, but we have the capability to work with all schools and universities in our serving area. So what we do is we help students and educators become better stewards of our most valuable resource, which is water. So tonight, I'm excited to recognize the winners of our Imagine a Day Without Water essay contest. These students used their creativity and critical thinking to help us reflect on just how essential water is in our daily lives and what the outcome would be if we didn't have it. So this year we received 23 outstanding entrants, which is more than we have had in years past. So that's quite an accomplishment for all of our middle school students across the region to take time to submit an essay for this contest. So each was evaluated on content, clarity, and creativity. And after careful review, our judges selected 3 very deserving winners. So when I call your name, if you'll come down, you'll stand here in front of the gray chair. You'll receive your gift, and you'll have a picture with our president, Jeremy Cummings. Our third place winner is Anya Nampali, who will receive a $50 Stars and Stripes gift card, a Nike crossbody bag, a medal, and a certificate. That's it. All right. Congratulations. Thank you, Anya. second place, we have Summit Wilson, who will receive a $50 Barnes & Noble gift card, along with a pen and journal set, a medal, and a certificate. Great job. It's like nobody knows what to do or like where to stand to take pictures. No, they're just starstruck. And finally, our first place winner is Arjun Mishra, who will receive a $75 Amazon gift card, an e-writer tablet, a medal, and a certificate. All right, let's give all of our winners a big round of applause. So thank you for your thoughtful work and for helping us imagine what life would be like without water and why protecting it means so much.
Thank you, Anna, and congratulations again to all of our essay contest winners. It's not an easy essay. We appreciate you guys taking that time out of your busy lives, because you still have regular homework and sports and all your activities, to take a moment and consider what it would look like in your lives without a day, or for a full day without water. So we are now going to transition into our more formal presentation program. For those of you who came and received your award, if you do not want to stay for the formal presentation, you are welcome to transition out. If you would like to still stay, we would love to still have you. And we'll go through later. All right. And now I'm going to introduce, we're going to have two of our executive staff members come and speak with you guys about the state of CWW, provide you a little bit of a history, and then talk about what we do to reinvest in our community to make sure that we continue to provide you guys with essential water services. So we've got John Peebles, our Chief of Water Resource Operations.
Thank you, Adrian. Good evening. Thanks for coming out. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about Columbus Water Works, and as I talk, I want to start with our history. And we've been around for a while. We've been providing drinking water since 1902. In fact, see this wooden pipe over here? That carried water from Leonard Springs down to downtown Columbus when water was first needed downtown. We've transitioned now from the wood pipes. We're actually using ductile iron pipes today. You see some old pictures. This was where our raw water intake used to be. It's been since moved and laid as a pipe. We like to hang on to a lot of our history and show how this is the entrance to our drinking water plant that I'll be talking more about in just a minute. They don't build them like this anymore. This is quite the entrance. So we've been providing wastewater services since 1956, and that was before the National Clean Water Act was passed in 1972. That's when the federal government got involved after a river caught fire. And I've got $20 for anybody that can name the river that caught fire that led to the National Clean Water Act.
Ohio.
Oh, it wasn't Ohio, but you got to name the river. Nobody wants any money.
Allegheny.
Cuyahoga. Cleveland, Ohio. But when sewage used to run to the nearest streams and to the rivers, they were quite polluted, and to the point that this river caught fire. People realized we got to do something different. But we were already providing some wastewater services. Of course, after that, we provided even better services. We've been providing regional water services since 1988. Most of that is selling water to some of our neighboring counties. We put in the combined sewer treatment plant facilities in 1995 and started those up. And then we've been serving Fort Benning since 2004. We actually signed a 50-year contract with Fort Benning to provide them water and wastewater services. Our vision for the future, since I started with history, I got to look forward to the future, is to lead the Chattahoochee Valley to health and prosperity by operating a first-class water utility. And I'd like to say that we are a first-class water utility, evidenced by all these awards that we've won just this past year. both individual awards and organizational awards for compliance and for excellence. And we strive to do that every day. Our mission is personal. We want to serve our community. We want to provide safe, reliable water. We want to protect public health in our watersheds and to leave a legacy of financial and environmental stewardship. And the reason we take it personally is because we live and work and play here also. We care about our watershed. We care about our rivers. We care about this environment. These are our values over on the left. This is our team of dedicated water professionals that serves 365 days a year to make sure that we're doing these things and serving y'all in a proper manner. If you look, where's Waldo? I think there's Jeremy right there. Here somewhere. So I'm going to talk today about the state of your water utility. And we come to y'all every year and we talk about aging infrastructure and based on that, the necessary rate increases we need to have. And I would ask, okay, well, what are you doing with that money? You know, how are you investing it? Why are you coming back saying some of the same things? Well, I'm going to try to shed a little light on that today. And I'm going to focus on our core operations. I'm going to talk about water treatment, distribution, collections, and wastewater treatment in our combined sewer treatment. This is our North Columbus Water Resource Facility. This is our drinking water plant located on River Road. We're actually pulling water out of the Chattahoochee River right behind the dam that creates Lake Oliver is where our major water source is. It's permitted to withdraw 90 million gallons a day. On average, we produce about 32 million gallons a day. So what does that mean? That means we've got capacity. We're a very lucky community to have the river that we have, to be able to have capacity to produce more water, and therefore we're trying to entice other industry to come to Columbus and bring their jobs because we've got water. And one of the reasons that Georgia continues to be one of the best places to do business is because of our low power rates and because of our water. And so many other places don't have it to give away. This is a conventional treatment plant, which means basically that it's going through the processes that have been around since the beginning. Now, we've done lots of improvements, lots of upgrades, but it is a conventional water treatment plant that the filters are sand and anthracite that are used. So it goes through that processes and gets that water clean, and then we disinfect it and we send it out to y'all. But with a plant that was constructed in 1916, at least the first portion of it was, you've got challenges, and I will talk about what we've invested in that, but as we address those, we also get hit with new mandates, new regulations, in this case, PFAS. If y'all heard of PFAS or PFOA, the forever chemicals that were put into nonstick coatings and stain master carpets and these types of things, these chemicals, they serve that function because they stand up to things and they last forever. Well, the problem is now they're out in the environment, they're in our water, and then you find out they're not healthy for us, and they say, oh, we got to get that out. And so EPA put the regulations out there and said we need to get down to less than 4 parts per trillion of this PFAS. And we have just over that in our water, but it's everywhere, and some places have it a lot higher concentrations than we do, especially up around Dalton where the carpet industry was. So we're lucky that our water is as clean as it is, but it's not clean enough when you start talking about parts per trillion. And so initially, when these regulations came out, we had to be done by 2029. The Trump administration has backed that up, and so now we've got till 2031 to get that done. But this is a new regulation that we have to meet. And unfortunately, it doesn't come with a check from the federal government to help you pay for it. So we've got to be ready for that. And I'll talk about some of the things we've done in a minute to try to be ready for that. But to shed some light on, well, what have we been doing with the money that we have been receiving with the rates? We've just in recent years invested over $32 million in this facility. We've redone chemical and electrical feeds. We're in the process right now of switching from chlorine gas to bleach because it's a safer thing to do. And we're looking at new plate settlers to replace the tube settlers that we have at the plant. This is our second water treatment facility. It's at Fort Benning. It's a smaller plant. We actually, it was constructed in 2012 following BRAC, the base realignment and closure, when Fort Benning was anticipating quite an increase in troops and family members. They said, look, we're going to need additional capacity. So we actually built this plant at the site of the old plant, but it is a state-of-the-art plant that uses membrane filtration. We're able to monitor it and control it from our north plant. It provides redundancy because we can still serve water from our north plant to Fort Benning, but Fort Benning's plant can provide additional service. Challenges here, since it is a new state-of-the-art plant, again, the only challenge really is these new regulations. And again, they have to be implemented by 2031. We have invested, we have run a pilot already at that treatment plant, tried out different technologies to remove these forever chemicals. And we were mandated to do that, but we were like, okay, well, if you start talking parts per trillion, we have to do something to take these forever chemicals out of the water. What's going to be the next emerging contaminant that we have to be concerned about? And so when we did this pilot to test these different technologies, we looked at not only removing those forever chemicals, but we also looked at removing pharmaceuticals. We looked at removing microplastics, other emerging things that we know are coming down the road. And so we wanted to see these technologies, how do they do for those as well as PFAS? And we're getting to a point now that that pilot's been completed. The engineering consultant is working on recommendations. But we're looking at, all right, what do we have to do at this plant to meet that new regulation, and what do we have to do at our bigger plant, the north plant, to meet those regulations? So after we produce the water, it's got to get to your house and homes and your businesses. So we have a distribution system that's over 7.7 million linear feet of pipe. That's over 1,400 miles of pipe. You imagine we got enough pipe to run to Atlanta, 14 times. It's crazy. Over 9,000 fire hydrants, 21,000 valves. We've got 22 elevated water storage tanks, 18 water booster stations to bring that pressure up in places in town that need it. This is a lot of assets. It's a lot to keep up with. And our challenges in the distribution system are really unlined cast iron pipe. We've had ongoing lining projects where we've lined a lot of this old cast iron pipe. The majority of it was used in downtown Columbus. It's been in there since the late 1800s. It's still good pipe, but you need to clean it and line it so that you don't have tuberculation build up on the inside of it. We've got more of that to do. One of our other challenges is we've got small galvanized lines out in the system, and those small galvanized lines tend to corrode quicker, and we have more leaks on that. And so we want to, and we have been working and spending money to replace those lines with good ductile iron pipe and bigger lines. We've invested over $20 million in that distribution system in recent years. Our collection system, so once you get the water out there, what you flush and what goes down your drain, we've got to collect that and bring it back to our sewer plant. So we've got over 6 million linear feet of gravity mains. That's over 1,100 miles of sewer pipe. We've got 85 sewage lift stations. That's because every gravity flows down to the low points in Columbus. We have to pump it back up to another gravity main to keep flowing down towards our south plant. We've got over 221,000 linear feet of force mains. Those are the mains behind those pump stations. We've got almost 30,000 sewer manholes out there. So these are a lot of things to keep up with. Our challenges with the collection system, wet weather overflows. Sewer systems weren't designed to handle stormwater, rainwater. That's a different system. In fact, the city manages the stormwater system in Columbus. But when you have rainfall and you have water, it finds its way into sewer systems, and every sewer system has this issue. We've been addressing it for probably over a decade now with dedicated crews that work on this to try to reduce that inflow and infiltration. Because if you can keep it from getting in that pipe, number one, you have less pressure to have overflows during those rain events, but it's also less water you have to treat at the wastewater plant. And again, we've got an aging system with deteriorating pipe. And in recent years, we've spent over $50 million on this collection system. So once you collect it, you got to bring all that sewage down to be treated before you put it back in the river. And this is our wastewater treatment plant down off South Humphrey Road. It's a 42 MGD plant, average is around 41 MGD. We also routinely see as much as 80 MGD during wet weather floods. And that's because, again, that I&I gets in the system, but also because a portion of our downtown area is combined sewage that carries both sewage and stormwater during rain events. And we have to maximize that flow to our wastewater plant for treatment. So the challenges in this wastewater plant are many. It's aging infrastructure. In fact, this plant's really nearing the end of its useful life. It was constructed in 1964 with primary treatment, which is basically this part of the plant that where you settle the solids out. It was upgraded in '74 to have what I call the meat of the plant, or this is the biology where the bugs do the work and help clean up that sewage and aeration and clarification. But what you'll see in the wastewater plant is the gases that are produced are very corrosive and hard on this equipment. So if you look at the 41 versus 42, here we don't have capacity. We really have no room for expanding industry. So we can entice new industry and manufacturing into town because we have the water, but if we don't have the capacity to treat the sewage, we've got an issue. And then on top of that, we've got new regulations on the wastewater side. We're looking at nutrient limits for phosphorus and nitrogen and ammonia because they keep getting more stringent and they don't want us putting that much back into the river. And so we've got to meet these new regulations. Now, we were very concerned that this past permit cycle, we were going to see those new nutrient permits, but we did not want to have to spend roughly $250 million of upgrades to this plant when it really wasn't designed to handle that, knowing that this plant is already out of capacity and it's already nearing the end of its useful life. So for these three reasons, we need a new wastewater plant. And so we went to our regulator and we said, look, if you hold off on these regulations to meet these new nutrient limits, we're putting the plans together to build a new plant. And they said, if you're gonna do that, we'll hold off. And so that's our plan. It's a very expensive plan that Jeremy will talk about more, but we need it for all three of these reasons. Meanwhile, we've invested over $49 million in this plant. Influent pump station, digest recover, solids dewatering. And the plan that we've got for the new plant, all this money will not be wasted because we're going to reuse this influent pump station to maybe pump to the new wastewater plant. But we're going to continue to use our existing solid side of the plant where we do the dewatering. So this investment's not going to waste, but we didn't want to have to invest other dollars in the rest of the plant to meet limits when we knew it needed to be replaced. What I mean when I say it's nearing the end of its useful life, I'm not just talking about really the equipment. I'm talking about the original concrete basins and tanks, really the backbone of the plant. As you can see, we've got cracks developing throughout the plant on these basins. We did have a project recently where we did crack injection to try to shore up some of these leaks. We spent quite a bit of money doing that, but that's kind of like a Band-Aid because already compromised the structure. But once water's getting into that concrete, it starts to rust that rebar reinforcement. So this is why we say that this plant's reaching the end of its useful life. Our combined sewer treatment facilities, we've got Uptown that does the northern portion and South Commons that does the southern portion. Our main challenge here has been that in 2020, after many years of negotiating with EPD, they went ahead and issued a permit within the pipe limits. And we have been operating these facilities for 25 years, and we had proven that it had cleaned up the river. We had fixed the problem. But you had people that thought differently, that maybe weren't there when we built this, because we had total buy-in. In fact, these facilities won a national award for best design from EPA after we did it. But you had new folks, new regulators that were out to save the world, and they said, oh, you're not doing good enough, you need to do better. And we pushed back. We said, no, we've solved that problem. We don't want to spend money that's not going to impact that river. You know, if I've got to spend money, if I knew there was a problem, that's one thing. We would spend the money because that's what the waterworks does. But we knew that we had solved that issue, and I'd rather have that money spent on a new wastewater plant than I would on fixing something that doesn't need fixing. It was a long, drawn-out issue. We were successful with our final rulings. So EPD is in the process of redoing the permit now. But even so, we've invested in those facilities as well. We've invested over $11 million. Some of that was to meet those new limits because we weren't sure if we'd win or lose that battle with them. And so we had to try to comply because that's what we want to do. We want to be in compliance. But we also did some further improvements to improve grit removal because we needed to do a little bit better job. So I talked about, this money that we've reinvested. If y'all are paying attention, you added that up. We've spent over $162 million in recent years to back on this infrastructure and to maintain this infrastructure. And I know what y'all think, golly, that's a big number. Why do things cost that much? So I want to give y'all just a few examples of why those numbers are as high as they are. To replace one bar screen costs over $236,000. This is a bar screen. This is our influent sewer. This is our wastewater plant. This is where all the water from Columbus and Fort Benning come through these screens to screen out the big stuff, right? $236,000 for one. Well, we've got 7 of them. We've got 4 at this wastewater plant. We've got 3 more at our combined sewer treatment facilities. These are our primary settling basins at the wastewater plant. This is where the sludge kind of has a chance to settle to the bottom. And then these flights that you see all broken here are what rake that bottom and rake the solids to be pumped to our digesters. We've been spending roughly $200,000 a year to maintain those primaries. We've had to do it one basin at a time. As failures have occurred, we go back in and redo all that. A final example is we've got these digester mixers that are basically stirring up that digester so it can do what it needs to do. One of those, $200,000 to replace. We don't always replace everything. We look for cheaper ways to handle and maintain this stuff. We've been able to refurbish a lot of these, spending about $30,000 per mixer to get it refurbished and put it back in service. But even those costs have gone up. The latest one we did is $60,000, so it's twice as much as we were spending. The issue is we got 9 of those. So if you start thinking about these numbers and add them up, that's how you get to these huge numbers of $162 million. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Jeremy for him to share with y'all how we're going to pay for all this.
Thank you, John. Good job telling our story. And that is, I want to start off and say thank you all for spending the evening with us tonight, coming out and learning a little bit about your waterworks and our utilities that you trust us and empower us to operate on a day-to-day basis. And it's John's team and a lot of others that make these difficult situations look easy. And we look at these issues and things like that, but they work together so that you never see the impact in your service each and every day. So thank you guys that are in here, that are part of that. And I want to thank Adrienne and her team that put this event together tonight. This kind of stuff don't just happen. It takes effort, and then all the leaders that were out front out there answering questions and welcoming our customers. Thank you. There's a lot of places y'all could be tonight, and I appreciate you being here to serve our customers because that's what we are here to do. So John showed us all the issues. We won't call them problems, we'll call them issues. And like on most days, I have to figure out how we're going to pay for it. So anyway, this is our 5-year financial plan. So what factors drive our rates? And I think John did a great job in talking about a lot of these in his presentation. Delivering safe, clean, and reliable drinking water to our customers and returning clean, safe water to the Chattahoochee River. That is our main mission. That is what we're here to do. But these factors drive the cost of everything we do. And infrastructure maintenance and improvements, these things factor in regulatory compliance, And then cost increases driven by inflation affect every aspect of our business. And I know each and every one of you, when you go to the grocery store, things are more expensive, right? When you go to the gas pumps, I think gas is down a little bit right now, but it fluctuates. But all of those type of expenses, and I'll get a lot more details here in a minute, those expenses add up to what drives our rates. So when you look at it, a 4.2% inflation increase is what we're expecting in 2026. So what does this mean? So when you look at the water and wastewater industry, our industry is predicting that a 4.2% inflation rate to do the things that we do today to continue to do in 2026 is going to cost us 4.2% more to provide the services that we provide to you now next year. That's how much more it's going to cost us just to keep doing what we're doing, if you will. And you see the different areas here in this chart: labor, supplies and maintenance, outside services, company expenses, education and training. All these costs continue to increase, and those things drive our rates. So to continue to do what we're doing today, come February, March, and November of next year, we're projecting it's going to cost us 4.2% more. Where are these costs? Where are we seeing these costs? I think this slide here is a great example. Chlorine is used to disinfect our water at our water distribution, our water plant on River Road up here, and to disinfect the wastewater at our wastewater plant. In 2019, we paid $345 a metric ton for chlorine. Today, we pay $740 a metric ton. That price has doubled in that short amount of time. In 6 years, we've seen the price of chlorine double. Moving to the right, a standard work truck. Anybody bought a vehicle lately? In 2019, we could buy our standard work truck for $36,000. Today, that same truck cost us $44,000. So it's $10,000 more. Construction costs. From 2019 to 2025, we were paying about $150 to $300 a square foot for construction projects. Today, we're looking between $200 and $400 a square foot. Why is that important? Because John talked about the issues that we're facing and the challenges that we have. If we keep that can down the road and keep putting it off, those costs continue to increase, and it's just going to cost us more down the road. So that's why we've got a plan to address these challenges now. Copper pipe, $2.09 foot in 2019, $7.52 a foot now. So I mean that's triple, almost 4 times. And then electricity, we all pay a power bill, right? 0.125 kilowatt hour, 0.19 kilowatt hour now. So as these costs increase, it costs us more to treat your water and your wastewater and provide the services that we continue to have to provide on a day-to-day basis. I think this slide right here is one of the best in the presentation. It just breaks it down to show you we're not just saying that things are getting more expensive. This shows where the expenses are. So our aging infrastructure regulatory compliance is the 2 key words you heard in John's presentation. And our capital spending focuses on those things. The wastewater treatment plant has reached the end of its useful life. And due to its age and condition, it's at capacity when it comes to flow and loads. And if we want economic development in our community, we've got to do something at the wastewater treatment plant. And with the nutrient permits that's based on the state requirements, the EPD is saying, hey, by this deadline, you have to meet the nutrient permits. When you look at this plant, or that's the water plant, but when you look at the wastewater plant, the footprint doesn't allow us the space or the area to have a treatment process possible. So we're going to have to go off-site just to do that. So these are very costly challenges, but it's things that we don't have much of a choice. We have to address. Our current wastewater treatment plant is in a floodplain. That's not a good location when you're looking at wastewater treatment and operating during flooding events. So the goal is to get that plant out of the floodplain and to a higher elevation. PFAS, forever chemical, reducing and mitigating PFAS. I'm going to show you in the slide in a few minutes what it really costs to address those forever chemicals. Those things don't just naturally settle out of water with sand and things like that. It's a very technical process that will be very costly to mitigate. And then continuing to control and limit our CSOs. Like John said, we've invested a lot of money in our combined sewer overflow plants over the last year. And our river is not the same river that it was when we built those CSO facilities. Our river now is used for recreation, whether it's rafting and kayaking and fishing and things like that. And we've got to make sure that what we're discharging back into the Chattahoochee River is safe for those people that are enjoying, and it's us, it's our families, it's our friends, it's our neighbors that are out there playing in the river. We want to make sure that that water's safe, that we're discharging back into the Chattahoochee River. And I'm happy to say, you talk to the people at Whitewater Express, their guides are in and out of that river every day. To date, they haven't had anyone get any kind of sickness or anything like that from being in the river. They tried that, they monitor that. So to me, that's proof enough. We're doing a great job in protecting the Chattahoochee River and discharging good quality, safe water back into the river. So when you look at the breakdown of cost, I'll start over here on your left. 2026, we have a master plan of projects that we're projecting is going to cost us $110 million. John talked about a few minutes ago the small line replacement project for the water distribution system, the cleaning and lining for the water distribution system, the sewer rehab projects on the collection system. This is where the money for those projects come from. It's through our master plan. But we also have other things that you may not think of or know about that we have to plan big picture down the road. For example, IT technology. You know, cybersecurity right now is a hot topic in the water and wastewater industry, in the power industry, in the gas industry, in all of our industries. And if we're not investing in our IT infrastructure and thinking ahead on technologies and defense and things like that, we're not doing our due diligence as leaders. So when you look at that 110 million in that master plan, those are projects that we need to do to stay ahead of the capital projects. John talked about PFAS, the forever chemical. We're going to have to meet that requirement at our North Plant. There's money in that 110 million to address the PFAS requirement at the water plant. And we need to be planning for that now. Our administration built $15 million to build a new main office, if you will. Our main office, I think it was three weeks ago, maybe a month ago, air conditioning went out twice in 1 week. It was 94 degrees, I think, in my office. Our employees continue to work, continue to perform their job and serve our customers with no air conditioning, no airflow in the building. That happened twice in that week. That same week, the sewer pipe down in the basement broke and flooded the basement, and our whole building smelled like sewage. And then following day or so, the power went out, we lost our IT system, and we couldn't serve our customers. So when I say there's challenges at our main office, we don't just want a new building. We need a new building. In order to recruit and retain talented employees, we need a safe, clean work environment for them to come to work in every day. And having to work in those type of temperatures and those type of environments and with no airflow and things, it is not the environment that people desire to go to work in every day. So we have to plan for that. And so when you look at that first column, $125 million, that's roughly what it's going to cost us to do that next year. 2027 is when we start really looking at designing and construction on our new wastewater treatment plant. Part of the master plan and some of the other things in 26 is we'll be purchasing some property. We're going to pay for some of that as we go and things like that. But come 2027, we got to pay for engineering. We got to start getting some of that stuff up and running. And And then in 28, we still got to continue that master plan. We're not investing as much into the infrastructure, but we still got to continue to invest in it. And then that wastewater treatment plant, that's when the construction begins. That's when we start seeing, hey, we've got to pay the people that's pouring the concrete, the people that's doing the electrical work and things like that. So we're looking at about $150 million that year. And then PFAS at Fort Benning. We serve our customers at Fort Benning and we're thankful to have them. But we recognize in order to meet the PFAS requirements at Fort Benning, we need to start planning now to how we're going to pay for it. In conversations and in planning, one thing that was asked is, hey, can we fund it and finance it, and they pay us back through their rates, and that's what we're projecting and planning on doing right now. And then by where am I at? PFAS. So 2029, we continue to build the wastewater treatment plant, another $150 million, and then 2030 starts our master plan again, and continuing to do the small master plan projects. Another $150 million at the wastewater plant. In 2031, we start nearing the end of that construction. We see that wastewater treatment plant go down to about $80 million. And then in 2032, we're starting to, we've slacked a little bit in our master plan over those last 5 years. So now we want to start pouring a little bit more and needing. It's not wanting. We're going to have to continue to pour into our pipe and infrastructure. And then we will wrap up the wastewater treatment plant by projected to spend about $45 million. So when you look at this chart on the right and you look at our cost and forecasted existing and future debt, you see, we're in a good spot right now. But if we don't start planning now, when we get out here in 2032, our debt is really going to increase. So what we're planning on right now is in 2026 to begin the basics of addressing some of these challenges that John mentioned. And this next slide here will start to get into the details. I'll start with the chart on the right. If you look at this chart on the right, you see where we are debt-wise and versus our revenue. But then when you get over here to 2030, that debt continues to rise. And if we don't start raising our rates a little more aggressively and planning for some of these costs, then our debt's going to outrun our revenue, and we do not want that to happen. So we've got a plan to space it out over time. So when you look at it right now, our annual increase that we're going to propose this year is 4.95% annual rate increase across the board. Now I want to remind you, I showed you earlier in the slide, what's inflation projected to be? 4.2. That 4.95 rate increase is only going to give us the money and allow us to do the things we've been doing already. We're going to be able to provide you the quality service that we've been able to provide you for ever since we've been in business. 4.95% is going to keep us there to serve our customers and keep doing what we're doing. But that's not going to address any of these regulatory challenges that John has presented on as far as PFAS, as far as the new wastewater treatment plant, the nutrient process, and all the other regulatory compliance issues that we're going to have. This is just to keep the lights on, the employees paid, and the water flowing. So we're proposing a new regulatory compliance fee that would be $5 for a residential customer. So if you're a residential customer, the regulatory compliance fee will be $5. For a small business, it's $10. And then for $50 for our big industrial, non-residential customers. And then we will gradually increase that at the same time as our debt services increase. So I think this next slide will show it. So when you look at the top there, water rates, we're projecting, this is the game plan there. We're going to reassess this every year. So this is what we need right now to do what we need to do next year. So what we're asking for is a 4.95% rate increase on your water and sewer and your CSO charge. And then we're going to ask for a $5 residential regulatory compliance fee for residents, $10 for the 5/8 and 1-inch non-residential meters, and then large non-residential meters, $50. if we cannot get any federal money, state money, any kind of financial help, this is a worst case scenario projection going into 2031. That would increase residential to 10, 15, and they'll stay at 15 to 20, and the others increase as well. We are planning, and we are already in the works of reaching out to the governor and other state agencies to try to obtain some state funding as well as federal funding to help us meet these regulatory compliance issues. But like we said, these are mandates. We don't have much say-so. You have to do what they ask you to do, and it costs money to do that. So we're projecting it in 2026, if we go up to these rates, we can do what we need to do for the year 2026. And then this time next year, 2026, we'll look at 2027, and hopefully we'll be able to share news that, hey, we've gotten some state assistance, or we've gotten some federal assistance and things like that. But right now, we're asking for the minimal amount that we need to do what we need to do for next year. So how does this impact our customers? The increase is going to be about $7 to $9 for most residential customers per month. So the new regulatory compliance fee is $5 of that. So right now, if you add between $7 and $9 to your monthly bill, that's what you can expect to see for a residential customer. And then this chart kind of shows the annual average 5 CCF and 8 CCF bills and most of our residential customers are right here around 8 CCF. And you see it'll go from about 75 to about 84 is what it's projected on an 8 CCF bill. So that is how we are proposing to pay for and start planning to address some of the challenges that we have coming in the future. So how do we compare to other water utilities throughout the state? And when you look at us, we are at the bottom third compared to other water utilities in the state as far as rates. What I have always been taught through the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill, their Water and Wastewater Finance Institute, tells you do not want to be down here at the bottom. If you're charging the least amount for water, then you're not making enough money to pay to reinvest in your infrastructure and plan for the future. Your goal is to not be at the bottom, but you also don't necessarily want to be at the top either. If you want to be a good steward of your ratepayers' money, you want to be somewhere along the middle, and we're right there, that bottom third before you get into the middle. We don't overcharge our customers, but we do ask and charge what it costs to run our system. And that's what we're asking for this year with the 4.95% increase and the $5 regulatory compliance fee. That will help us begin to plan and address the issues from the regulatory standpoint that we need to address by the year 2031 and 2032. These are our base fees, our 5/8 meters. You'll see the change there on our meter charges and things like that. We'll spend a lot of time there. And then the same thing on our wastewater CSO charges and other charges for our wastewater. So you may ask, hey, what about low-income families? What about people that are in a financial position right now that they need assistance? And we provide a $10.50 credit for qualifying residential customers. This new regulatory compliance fee, we're not asking them to pay that. They will not have to pay that. They'll still get their $10.50 credit, and they will automatically be applied. The way that works is if you roll in the city's reduced trash rate program, then you automatically qualify for our customer assistance program. And I think currently there's about 288 employees that are on that program. So, not employees, customers. Maybe 288 employees. 288 customers that are taking advantage of that program and using it because they're in that position that they need that assistance. And we're glad that we're able to provide that. And then we also have payment arrangements and flexible billing options that are available to our customers that find themselves in a financial situation that they need a little help. So in summary, what we're proposing is a 4.95% rate increase and a new fixed fee for regulatory compliance that'll bring the monthly increase between $7 and $9 for most of our residential customers. And once again, we offer assistance to our customers in need, and you're more than welcome to call our customer service department, and they'll answer any questions and help you with that program as well. So with that being said, I'm open to any questions, and if I can't answer your questions, I'm sure there's some team members in here that might can. Yes, sir.
I know in other parts of Georgia right now, there are some issues regarding data centers taking up a lot of water from, I think, also the Chattahoochee or other nearby rivers. Has that been affecting us at the Waterworks recently, or not, or it hasn't reached us yet?
No, we haven't. I'll tell you, the Choose Columbus and the Chamber of Commerce have been talking to different businesses, and I'm sure there's been some data centers that are interested in coming to Columbus, but we have not had one commit. I'll tell you, John showed a slide that shows, hey, we've got a 90 million gallon a day permit. We're averaging about 38 million gallons a day, so there's a lot of capacity. From a waterworks standpoint, a data center might be a good solution for us to help sell some water and provide that water. It may be good for Columbus and good for the waterworks. But we haven't seen a reduction in the Chattahoochee River for flows or anything like that. And I think the key is there's a lot of different technologies that can be used in data centers, and that impact whether there's evaporation and things like that, or whether there's water that's discharging back. We are proud to say, I think it's a little over 90% of the water that we use in Columbus, we put back in the river for our downstream users. So Lake Eufaula and Walker F. George and downstream of us, we want to be good neighbors and provide them good water. John, you want to add anything to that?
We've stayed on top of the data center issues, and like you said, the big thing is whether they're using evaporative cooling or whether they're using a closed loop system. But like he says, it can look good on paper. They don't necessarily bring the jobs that sometimes they say they will. But as I said, and he said, we have capacity, so we wouldn't mind getting some big water users into town. I don't know if the data center is going to be what it is, but we're open to it. We'll have to look at where they might want to locate and those types of things.
Any other questions?
Jimmy, if you would allow me, we did have a few that were submitted online that I would like to ask you about. So the first one is, does Columbus Waterworks have any plans to develop an app to pay their bill and manage their accounts?
So if you're wanting to pay by Venmo or Cash App right now, we don't have any plans to look into that. But I will say this, as technology changes and new apps and programs are created, we will explore technology in innovative ways to serve our customers, whether it be an app or whatnot. We're always looking at innovative ways to do things. And I know that is a method. The apps are methods that a lot of people are using, but from a business standpoint, we have to look at our customers' privacy. We have to look at, hey, what's the risk of allowing that customer to pay through this app and things like that. But one thing I will say, if you want to pay on your phone, you can go to our website on your phone, and you can pay through that phone, and it's just as easy as paying through an app. So, and if you need help with that, you can reach out to our customer experience or customer service team, and they can walk you through it. But I think that right now we don't have any plans to have an app. But like I said, I think you can do the same thing through our website.
Thank you, Jeremy. The next question that I received online was, why does my sewer charge change based on the amount of water that I use?
That's a good question. So sewer that's leaving your home goes through your sewer connection and then goes to our sewer main down to your wastewater treatment plant. Technology in metering sewage is not where it is with metering water. And because of the corrosive environment, because of the difference in flows and things like that, it's very inconsistent and not very accurate when you're trying to meter wastewater on a connection like that. So we recognize that the majority of the water that's used in your home is used for taking a shower, for washing clothes, for cooking, and that type of stuff, your toilet and things like that. But that's going down your drain, so it's a pretty good average of what's going down the drain is the water that you're using. Now, how we offset that is, I think it's 15 CCF, if I'm not mistaken. We cap our water usage at 15 CCF so that you're not paying additional sewage for water that you're not using. So if you're irrigating out in your yard with a sprinkler system or something like that, the sewage fee is tapped, not the water. You're paying for the water you're using. Don't misunderstand me. You're paying for the water you're using, but you're not paying sewage for anything over 15 CCF because we recognize that the average home doesn't use that much. So it's a pretty accurate and common way to calculate that.
Great, thank you. And I have one last question for you. How does CWW notify customers of past due bills?
So I hope none of y'all have any past due bills. Customer service is here. On a serious note, so we send a bill out in the mail. If you're a customer and you choose on your account that you get a paperless bill, we send you an email, and I encourage you guys. We are trying to get there to where we're not mailing bills out every month and doing things automated. So first off, we send the bill out either through email or through the mail. And then when you don't pay that bill, in the next month, 30 days later, when we send that next bill out, we alert you that you're late with your paying your bill, and then that triggers our automated telephone system to call you. So after 30 days, you'll get a call that, hey, you're late with your bill, please come in. I don't know exactly what it says, but it informs you that you're late with your bill. And then the following month, it's like you get the bill again that states it, and then you get the phone call again from our automated call system. So we do this for 3 months, and then after 3 months, if you're behind and you haven't paid your bill, you usually figure out that you're late with your bill because we go out and we cut the meter off and we lock the meter, and you come home and you do not have water services. So then that's normally we'll call and people say we didn't call them, but we do that. We get the bills, we mail the bills out, and then we notify through the telephone system.
So those are all the questions that we received online through submissions that were not customer account specific. So unless there's any other questions.
Yes, sir.
I know during one of the slides it was mentioned that chlorine bleach, like the liquid form of it, was more safe than chlorine gas. I just wanted to know why exactly it was more safe for the end user.
Well, with chlorine gas, if that escapes, that's deadly. And with chlorine bleach, you're in a liquid system, so you can have a spill and not have the necessarily risk that you would have with chlorine gas. I tell you, chlorine gas is cheaper. It's been used in our industry for over 100 years. But it's always concerned me that we have the levels that we have at that big plant on top of a hill with an elementary school right down the street from it. And so we recognize that issue, and we're going to have to pay a little more to switch to bleach. And it's going to cost a little more money and a little more effort, but we feel like it's a safer choice, and that's why we're doing it.
Good question, yeah. A lot of utilities have done that years ago. We've kind of waited for the technology and the time to be right. And even with like swimming pools, you hear of salt systems and stuff. All they're doing is turning mixing salt with electricity and making chlorine pretty much. So, but you're not storing those chemicals. So. All right. right, if there's no other questions, I do want to thank you all for coming out tonight, and we appreciate you and the ability to serve our customers.